This video is going to show you two examples of how to solve for all the roots of a higher degree polynomial. So first up, what I always keep in mind is the total possible roots is always the highest degree, which in this case is the 3. So I always keep that in mind when I'm trying to figure this out. Now, I should be thinking of, I should have 3 actual answers at the very end. All right, so to do this, I always do the P over the Q. The P is always the last term, the Q is always the first term. If there isn't a Q, there's no value there, it's an invisible 1. So in this case, I'm going to go 8 over 1. I'm going to list the factors of both of those guys. It's always plus minus. I'm going to put that in the front. In this case, my factors of 8 are 1, 2, 4, and 8. I always make sure I have a matchup. And then the factors of 1 are just 1. Okay, now my total possible solutions that I'm trying to pick from, in this case, I put them all the numerators over the denominators each, and there's only 1 in this case, so all my possibles are 1, 2, 4, and 8. The nice thing about that is that there's only, and that's always plus minus, so there's 8 choices. So what that is those are the 8 numbers I pick from when I want to do my synthetic division. Don't pick 3 because that's not one of them. So that's the idea. It's trying to narrow down your quest. Okay, so synthetic division, I'm going to put 1, I'm going to put -1, -10, and -8. Make sure you put a big enough space between all of them. I've seen some people who think put the numbers together and then they think they're one number and they're not. Now I'm going to pick one of these guys. And I can pick any one of these 8. I normally don't start at 8. I usually start at the smallest number and then work my way forward. You don't have to go in order. You can jump around if you really wanted. You can make a good judgment call. So like I'm going to start with just 1 for the heck of it. So I bring down my first term. So there's a 1. I multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply. All right, so that's going to give me a -18 here if I did all that right. So that's not an answer. So I don't want 1. So 1 is not one of my answers. So I'm going to erase this stuff, and I'm going to try something different. So I know 1 doesn't work. I'm going to try -1, just so I don't lose sight of which ones I've used. So -1 over here. So I still bring down the 1. I multiply. That gives me a -1. I now have -2. -2 times 1 is +3. That's going to give me, nope, that's not a 3. That's a 2. Okay, so it's going to give me a +2. That gives me a -8. Negative and positive, that's going to give me a +8. When I multiply by 1 and I add, I get a 0. So right now, that guy right there tells me that this is what I was looking for. So that means that -1 is a root. So one of my answers, I'm going to put answers over here, is 1. -1, sorry. -1. So one of my answers is -1. Okay, so now what I can do is I can take this and I can write it out as a polynomial and then I can factor it because there's 3 terms, which means it's a trinomial. So this guy's my remainder, so if I go backwards, that's my constant, that's my x term, and that's my x squared. So if I start at the end, this has got to be my constant, the next term in is going to be my x term, and then my next term in is going to be my x squared. So that's the trinomial I have. Now I want to factor that guy to get the final answers. So that's going to be x minus 4, x plus 2. Okay, if I'm going to solve those guys, I'm going to set each of them equal to 0. So one answer is 4 and one answer is -2. So I'm going to set those guys both equal to 0. So my final answers would be -1, -2, and 4. So those are all the roots for that problem. So we'll try the next one, which is a little bit more complicated. So that would be my final answer for that. All right, so the next problem, I'm going to do the same concept. In this case, again, I'm thinking I have 3 roots because of this 3. There's possible 3 answers. So I could have up to 3 roots. So I'm thinking about 3 different synthetic division ideas I'm going to do. All right, the P over the Q, in this case, I'm going to have 18, a little bigger number, over 2. Don't reduce it, okay? I want to list the factors of 18, which would be 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, and 18. And then the factors of 2 are 1 and 2. All right, so when I list all these, I'm going to list all these, the numerator, over the denominator. So I'm going to list all these guys over 1. And then I'm going to list all these guys over 2. And then I'm going to cross off. So every number over 1 is just going to be that number. So 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, 18. Okay, then I'm going to list them all over 2. So that's going to be 1 over 2, 2 over 2, 3 over 2, 6 over 2, 9 over 2, and then 18 over 2. Okay, then I'm going to look, and I'm going to cross off ones that I don't want anymore. So I look, 1/2 I want, but 2 over 2 is 1. So I don't need to write that one again. So I'm going to cross off 2 over 2. Okay, 3 over 2, I don't have anything like that. But then I go to 6 over 2, and that's the same as 3. So I don't want that one. 9 over 2, I don't have that. But then I go to 18 over 2, and that's the same as 9. So I don't want that one. So my final choices are 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, 18, 1/2, 3/2, and 9/2. Okay, and I'm going to do synthetic division. Kind of running out of space, so I'm going to erase a little bit here and use this spot. Okay, that doesn't want to erase that. Okay, so I'm going to just erase that because we already wrote these down. Okay, so I'm going to need that space. So synthetic division. Okay, I'm going to do 2, -7, -3, 18. I didn't need a placeholder. I'm going to try, let's try 1. So I take 1 and I bring down the 1. I bring down the 2, sorry, the first term. I get 2, -5, -5, -8, -8. That's going to give me 10, so no, I don't want to use this one. That's not good, so I'm going to erase. That's kind of a nice thing about doing this is I can erase this. Okay, so 1 is a bad one. Do we think -1 will work? Should we try that? So I'll try -1. So that gives me 2, -2, -9, 9. That's not going to work. So I'm going to erase that one. Okay, could have left that too. Okay, so let's try 2. So I bring down the 2, that's 4, -3, -6, ooh, look, -9, -18. All right, so I'm in good shape. So that one is a good one. All right, so now I could write this out. So one answer, I'm going to put the answers over here. So 2 is an answer. All right, now I could factor this out. I could write this out, but it would be 2x squared minus 3x minus 9. And that would mean I'd have to do the x thing, and that's a little harder. So I'm going to show you another thing you can do. So you can continue with synthetic division and try another row, which is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to try 1 and -1 because it's not going to work because we already know it doesn't work. I could try, like 2 could work again. I could try that. I'm not going to try that one. I'm going to try 3 just for grins. Okay, so I do 3, and notice I didn't start from the original equation. I just kept going on because it's already smaller and I want to keep going smaller. So I do the 2 and then I get 6. And then I get 3 here. Oh, and I get 9. And looky, I picked the right one. Now, when I write this out. So right now I have this remainder, which is good. Okay, so that's what I was looking for, and that's what I was looking for here. So we had two nice answers. And so one of the answers is 3 also. All right, so now what I can do to write this out is, again, this last term is my remainder, then this would be the constant, and then this would be what's in front of the constant, which is this, the x. Okay, so the constant's 3, and then in front of that, and then I would say plus, and then I want to attach an x, so I'd have 2x. So I now have just a binomial, and I can solve for that. So 2x is equal to -3, so x is equal to -3/2. Right, and that is my final answer. And I didn't have to get that by factoring. I didn't have to, pick 3/2 and stick that on the outside and do the synthetic division. That would be hard. Okay, so this is one other thing. So you can either do synthetic division, then factor, or you can do synthetic division and then do synthetic division again until you're down to this 2 terms here, which I had just 2 terms here. So once I have 2 terms, it's a lot easier to do. All right,